Thank you for joining me today for this Roots presentation. It's going to be a quick summary of what we're doing with, what we have, where we are, in hopes that you are inspired to do it in your area and join this collectively sustainable social impact movement. So the Roots stands for Resilient Organic Opportunities for Thriving Systems. And before we get into the presentation of Roots Initiative, we're going to go ahead and give a little background on what collectively sustainable is. Okay, collectively sustainable. The mission of collectively sustainable is to provide our community with direct access to people who have the skills, produce products, and resources that can and will assist in the creation of and support of hyperlocal food systems. The collectively sustainable initiative was created with specific intentions to learn, grow, share, and support one another hyperlocally. That's within a 50-mile radius in efforts to again create food security. So using the Farm Fresh 24/7 app as a resource map, we can effectively begin to barter, buy, and sell, even give away things hyperlocally, so that we can stimulate our hyperlocal economy. We can start to, resource map and find out who has what skills as far as sustainability. And this is basically the two parts of the infrastructure needed to support this effort, which is again collectively sustainable, the personnel, and then Farm Fresh 24/7, the digital infrastructure that we utilize to post our things on, which is free to download and free to post on as well. Okay, collectively sustainable. Together, we are taking a pledge to not only join, but to help create and maintain the collectively sustainable culture. No matter the race, gender, age, religion, nationality, social, economic position, or skill level, all are welcome to this movement. We understand that food can literally connect us, and everyone has a unique role to play within the rebuilding of our food system. So, collectively sustainable, as you just heard, doesn't have any boundaries as far as who we build with. We're just a group of people who are saying enough is enough. And if, the higher ups can't figure it out and our local politicians can't figure it out, then we, the people, are going to create our own strategy to provide the solution for the problem that we are facing every day. Okay, the Roots Initiative is aiming to create supplemental food production systems hyperlocally. Each 10 by 10 in-ground system is projected to produce at least 250 to 340 pounds of fresh, nutrient-dense produce. The tiers to participate within the Roots Initiative, the full price is $150, and that's basically, the whole shebang. You're getting your plot installed with your plants, as well as the compost, and then the free base install is going to be obviously $0. This is where we can still service people who don't necessarily have the funds to participate. Of course, this is going to be based on the available donations and funds that we get from, people, members, nonprofits, whoever who want to pour into this initiative. That's where we pull the funds from. So we definitely want to still have that free aspect to it. But again, it's purely based on the funds that are available. And with the free install, they just get the base, which is just the 10 by 10 plot plowed and actually the rows created and top dressed with the compost. So that's just the basic install. Okay, three major roles of the Roots Initiative. We have one, our donors. Donors are important because that's how we continue to service our elders, service the people in marginalized community, and get to the people who really need it most. Second major role is a homeowner. The homeowner is important for the reason that we need a space to till, we need a space to train, and we need someone who is going to steward that 10 by 10 plot. Third is the installation specialist, right? That's basically the person who's trained to use the tiller to plow the land, to get the rows ready. And this is where our Roots of Generosity program comes in. That's where we're extending the educational infrastructure to the teens, ages 14 to 18. And again, that is a spin-off concept of this Roots initiative where we're just, again, bridging that gap and making sure that we have our youth present as we extend our efforts to our elders and kind of again just create that network within the community and repair the relationships within the community. Okay, step one of the Roots Initiative. Obviously, you're going to fill out the application that's going to be located on our website, www.collectivelysustainable.org. Application is pretty straightforward. There is a video that you're going to watch, and this is where you're going to get more clarity on what your obligations are as far as a homeowner. Now, home ownership is kind of tongue in cheek. If you're renting, you can still have an installation. You just have to make sure that it's okay with your landlord or whoever you're renting from. You can get that agreement in writing. I would definitely encourage you to do so, so that way there's no confusion. But that's not something that we verify. That's something that you have to verify. So you definitely need to talk to your landlord or whoever you're renting from, if you are a renter, to make sure you have clearance to do an in-ground installation. We're not doing raised beds with the Roots Initiative just because of the price point. So after you fill out your application and you make contact with whoever you need to make contact with to make sure it's okay, the next thing you're going to do is contact 811. Georgia 811 is a nonprofit company that's going to come over and mark your utility lines. This is essential because, again, we want to have you protected. We don't want to come in and start plowing the land and run into pipes, run into, you know, issues with your utilities. So obviously 811 is going to come again for free. They're going to mark everything. I would suggest that you go ahead and take a picture to make sure that you have documentation for yourself, because the paint obviously will wash away for a while, and you might want to dig later on. So it's good to just have it in your records. I think the first visit is free. You might have to pay for the second or the third or whatever. But again, take some pictures after they come and mark your lines. They're going to ask you where you want to dig. I would just put all around the house, like just to cover everything. Um, if you don't see anybody come and service you, like you don't see the remnants of the markings, you see nothing, check your email. 9 times out of 10, if they think that you're going to dig in the backyard and they know all your lines are in the front yard, they won't even mark them. They'll just send you an email, say you're clear to dig. So if anything, get them to mark the lines. So you might need to put that you're going to dig in the front yard, even if you're not planning to. But that's just a way to get your lines marked so we actually know where they are. And that might be, again, useful in future presents where you might want to expand your garden or you might want to move to a different area. So definitely 811, contact them, fill out the paperwork, and mark, or excuse me, get your lines marked. Step two is going to be site selection. Excuse me, step three is going to be site selection. This is where you're going to look for two possible areas that can get 6 to 8 hours of sun per day, right? We want at least the areas to be 10 feet away from big trees. So your pines, your oaks, what have you, get a good distance away. We can't run through the roots of the trees. If they're that close, one, they're going to damage the trees and possibly cause the tree to die, which could possibly cause, injury or damage to property. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to take the life of a perfectly well tree as well. So definitely 10 feet away for the trees. We can still do it, but make sure, again, that you're visibly looking at the area that you want to install, and just make sure that it's getting at least 6 hours. We can squeeze in with the 5 plus. If we can get to 5.5, we cooking. But if we get into 6 to 8, we cooking with Crisco. So we really want to do it properly. So if we can get that checked upon by you, you're going to be our eyes on site. So you're going to look in the morning, look in the afternoon, look in the evening 3 times. If you have those two spots, marked, and just put your eyes on them. You can take pictures, what have you, but be mindful of where the sun is, morning, afternoon, evening. That's how you do your site selection. Again, 10 by 10 is an area, so you shouldn't really have to measure a 10 by 10. It's pretty easy to eyeball it. Okay, after you've fill out all your application, you call 811. You're going to be put on our wait list, and we will get to you. So be patient. Make sure you definitely give us a good contact. And if you are a collectively sustainable member, you will be serviced first. Again, like especially as funds become available for free installs, we're going to go to people in collectively sustainable first, because these are people, again, who are taking the vow to be a part of this food system movement. So within these 10 by 10s, again, we're looking to produce 250 to 340 pounds of fresh produce per plot. And basically, our objective is to create groups of 5 homes in your area that are producing fresh produce, right? So that means we need you to spread the word. 5 homes in your area can produce 1,250 to 1,700 pounds of fresh produce per 5 houses. We call that a node. So we want you to actually spread the word to your neighbors. We want you to spread the word to your community. It doesn't necessarily have to be houses that are in your actual physical neighborhood. You can definitely have your friends, your family, your church members, your community members, your fraternity, whoever you're in community with, spread the word because this is a decentralized concept, right? We're creating these supplemental food production plots to be decentralized so we can practice what it looks like to really buy in officially. And again, we don't have that barrier of needing somebody to be right next door to participate. No, if you can canvass your neighborhood and get people, that would be preferred because the proximity is important, especially as we start to, in collectively sustainable, we educate people on literally helping each other as community members. So we go and visit each other's homes very frequently to help with weeding, help with the garden, help with just tasks around the home or the homestead or the farm. And this is beneficial when the proximity is very close. So although that is beneficial. It's not the end all be all. You don't have to have people in your neighborhood. And again, you can just get people within a 50-mile radius to participate, and they can still be a part of that 5 person cohort that you reached out to. And that's just a goal for you yourself, right? We need to spread the word because the more people growing food, as you see by the numbers, the better it is for us. Now we got 5 nodes. So let's say 5 people got 5 people, and here we are, or 5 people got 4 people, and we are able to produce 6,250 to 8,500 pounds of fresh produce with 5 nodes. Now I know you may be saying, hey, that's a lot of households. That's 25 households, man. How are we going to manage all these people who are growing food? Well, that is again where collectively sustainable comes in as they decentralized education framework. So, Collectively Sustainable has the main implement within it called a stewardship center. And a stewardship center is basically a space that is provided to accommodate larger events. There's space for demonstrations, there's space for hands on workshops, there's space for social gatherings. So, our farm, Seals Family Farm, serves as a stewardship center and we host demonstrations, hands-on workshops, and social gatherings on a monthly basis. And this is how, again, if you're a member of Collectively Sustainable, you're benefited by the educational framework. So within those nodes, those people who don't necessarily know how to grow food yet, they've never done it before, they're brand new, they can visit their Collectively Sustainable Stewardship Center and get that information. They can move throughout a evolving curriculum for that area because the stewardship centers are based on hyperlocality. So if I'm doing it on my farm in my garden or my 10 by 10 at this time, that means you can do it too. If I'm dealing with this pest, you're probably dealing with it too. If I'm dealing with excessive rain and I need to learn how to, you're probably dealing with it too. So this again fixates on hyperlocality and thus giving the proper information directly to those people in direct support. So again, as we build this community framework out and we start to get more households, we're going to basically fractal off to where 25 households are going to be committed to joining one specific stewardship center, right? They don't have to do the one, they can pick them. So it's not like you get assigned, but you get to join a stewardship center and get that direct contact. And it goes well beyond just the gardening assistance. Stewardship centers are places for sustainability. They do soap making demos, container gardening workshops, hands on wine making workshops, community meetings. Again, we have boots on the ground nights. We got game nights. So it's really think of a YMCA or an old school community center. We're just reviving those using people's homes. So again, a stewardship center is not a fancy farm or it's not a brick and mortar that's on Main Street. It can be, but it's typically somebody's home who has the opportunity or space, excuse me, to host at least 10 people for a workshop. So that's what a stewardship center is. A very brilliant concept because it doesn't take any money for them to emerge. And again, people who are a part of Collectively Sustainable can simply raise their hand and say, hey, I'm able to host some things because I have the space and I would love for people to come here and learn. We also do emergency preparedness skills there as well. And again, this is just another benefit of actually joining Collectively Sustainable. So right now in Atlanta, we have 8 stewardship centers. And right now, again, we can decentralize our education. So as you see, right now you have the 5 nodes per stewardship center, with 5 stewardship centers can grow 31,250 pounds of fresh produce per every 5 systems. So you can just do the math. We're closing in on 10 stewardship centers in Atlanta. So you can just double that number and see what we can grow. We have the possibility to grow. We need more people to participate. And what's going to happen is, again, with our collaboration and direct partnership and affiliation with Farm Fresh 24/7, which is our digital market space, this is where all these people growing all this food can see each other. So now, if I have a 10 by 10 where I'm just growing tomatoes and peppers because I got full sun, maybe I got a 10 by 10 where I'm just growing herbs because I don't have a lot of time to steward it. Maybe I'm growing leafy greens because I'm in a little bit more of a shadier area. I can now go to Farm Fresh 24/7, again, post my items to buy, barter, or sell. And this is where we can really start to see each other again and resource map who has what. We create those relationships. But again, that's where our digital infrastructure kicks in. So as the collectively sustainable side of sustainability educates people, we're already knowing as first generation farmers and first generation homesteaders, the farmers market is not an option. It's not sustainable. I'm not going to waste all my weekends for a whole summer going to sit in the sun at a market, breaking down stuff, putting it back together. It's cool if that's your bag, but for most people, we don't have the time, nor do we have the desire. And what we're trying to do is, limit or reduce the amount of inputs we need. So we want to reduce the gas. We want to reduce the energy we spend breaking down things. We want to reduce the amount of materials we need to create a market. So that's where, and I mean by tables, banners, chairs, the whole setups. You know what I mean? So Farm Fresh 24/7, the market is your home. Again, if you choose to have people come to your home, you can. If you want to have them meet you at Walmart or the gas station down the road, you can. But the goal is to create those relationships so we do know where we are and we can, just pull up and grab things freely, or not freely, but in collaboration. And again, this app is free to download and free to post on. And this is how we directly start to engage our community with sustainable practices and the infrastructure needed to support a sovereign food system. So thank you for joining me on this presentation again. I hope you are encouraged to move forward with this initiative. The Roots Initiative, again, is resilient organic opportunities for thriving systems. Please spread the word, and definitely if you want to donate, visit our website, www.collectivelysustainable.org, and find the Roots Initiative and donate straight to our GoFundMe. The most of the money goes towards our youth at this point as we start to educate them. Again, we're trying to get them involved into the fold of the installation process, and we want to make it viable for them. We want them to have an honest buy-in, so we're actually paying them a stipend like hands-on training, OJT, so they can literally start to be excited about getting in the backyards of their community members' houses and tilling up the grounds. And we're offering that as a springboard initiative. Again, the Roots of Generosity, that's going to propel them into their own business. So instead of cutting grass and paper routes and things like that that might have been old school, we're showing them how agriculture is the future and how they can insert themselves in now. So again, all your donations matter. Thank you again for tuning into this presentation.